Red alert! Set an intention. Go to Salon, Trek.
We're also thrilled to announce that we now serve Raktajino.
Hoopla!
Ahoy hoy friends, and welcome to the Salon. I'm your host Stan Williams, and I am made out of programmable matter. We are so excited. We got a new Star Trek show today. It's been talked about not just for years, but literal decades. The idea of a Starfleet Academy show has been bandied about for literal decades. It is finally here, and we are super jazzed to talk about it. Before we get into it, though, of course, all of the podcast things, it is close enough to 6:30 p.m. Pacific, so we are live on YouTube, as always, at Salon Trek. Everywhere else on social media and all of the podcast places the next day, we are at Salon Trek. And if you would love to support the Salon a little bit differently, in addition to liking and subscribing, you can also throw a couple dollars our way over on patreon.com/ you guessed it, Salon Trek. But without the you guessed it part, just patreon.com/ Salon Trek. We do bonus episodes and some other fun bennies. We hope to see you there. We are super jazzed today because we are talking about not one, but two episodes of a brand new Star Trek show, Star Trek Starfleet Academy. We are going to be talking about Kids These Days, the pilot, written by Gaia Violo. Forgive me if I do not pronounce your name correctly. Directed by Alex Kurtzman. And episode 2, Beta Test, written by Noga Landau and Jane Maggs, also directed by Alex Kurtzman. We'll be discussing them mostly separately, one and then the other, but some things may weave in and out through. But I can't do it alone. I have to beam in my crew, including my number one, Trevor. How you do?
I'm half a purple thing in, so I'm doing just fine. Shut up. Shut up. No. Next. Doesn't count. I'll take it away from you. I don't know how.
And here's Canada. Benji, how are you? With a purple hue.
Pretty good. Purple hue. I'm on my moon flow, so I'm, taking it easy tonight.
Speaking of on her flow, here's Will. How you do?
I haven't had a flow in years, darling. Haven't had a flow in years. I'm fine. Doing great.
Here's Matt.
Oh, hi. And I have a gold thing.
Here's Ken.
And also a drink.
I have no thing. How's everybody doing?
I am not inserting a segue. Here's Krista.
I did not receive jewels for my moon flow.
And last and most important, the only one I'd save in a fire, Joanne, how are you?
I also haven't had a flow in years.
And welcome to the Salon. It's 2026. We've got a brand new Star Trek show. I am so jazzed to have you all here with me. I'm going to play musical boxes with everybody just to you don't no absolutely not. We're not doing that. Just spreading out the baldness and having the best time. Welcome to our friends in the chat. We are so happy that you are here. If you're listening to this elsewhere another time, Thursday is live on YouTube. It's a joy in the chat. Enough silliness. We have a new Star Trek show. We got to get into it. It's been 120 years waiting for this moment, and it's here. But before we can discuss it, we must, as you all know, we simply must set an intention.
This is obvious, but don't forget to set an intention when you light it, or you're just going to be wasting the wax.
Indeed, we must. To set an intention tonight.
Boldly glow.
No, stop it. Mute. I thought it would be fun if we went around the room. And in honor of the Academy, I would like to know who all of you would like to have from the Trekverse as your roommate at Starfleet Academy. It can be anyone in the Trek universe. You have the last 60 years to choose from. As always, I will start us off. Surprising no one, I'm rooming with Travis Mayweather for reasons.
Problematic gay alert.
Ken.
You know, this is a hard one.
Yeah.
Problematic gay alert.
And since it is a hard one, I think I'm gonna suggest the new kid on the block as my roommate, Caleb. That is going to be my roommate because he needs all the guidance he could get
Problematic gay alert.
from a Star Trek daddy.
Problematic gay alert.
Oh,
Will.
wow.
Will, save us.
Wow.
I can't believe I'm saying these words, but Will, save us.
Oh God. Yeah, I don't know. Well, I would truth be told, no one. But I don't want anyone in my house. But you know what? It would be Spock, but specifically Ethan Peck. Spock, Ethan, call me. I'm available. I cook, I clean. Whatever you need, baby, I'm here for you.
Problematic gay alert.
Chris,
You're not gonna fuck your college roommate. Who are you gonna fuck?
Chris, dear.
Well, apropos of that, I'm going to choose two because that's what they get at the academy. And I'm going to choose Jet Reno and Jillian the Whale. And I'd like everyone to figure that shit out and have it in a room. I want all of us in a room together.
It's kind of beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm just picturing
Matt,
as it segues into
Matt,
me. It's
Matt.
just no. It's just like the two of them have their beds, and then it's just this giant open swimming pool, and you can just like talk down to Jillian like she's just swimming.
And it's salt water, and it's good for you. And we just bond.
I love it. Matt, my dear.
I'm taking Transporter Twink. From Strange New Worlds, and since there's two, apropos of what Krista said, and there's a front and back for everything.
Problematic gay alert.
Only counts as one alert, but it counts. Benji?
Okay, I think we all know who the best hang in the Star Trek universe is, and that's Jadzia Dax. Smoking weed on the couch. She'll hook you up with her friends, throw parties. I personally think she would push my boundaries in some really good ways that I need to be pushed, but she would also maintain respectful boundaries when needed. Jadzia Dax, ideal roommate.
Love it. Joanne?
I picked Tilly because I feel like she would do things for me, like get me coffee. And
I love that was going to be heartwarming, and then it's like, no, she's going to be my assistant.
she would lovingly do things for me.
Tilly, bring my coffee. Tilly, where's my coffee?
James, get the car.
Tilly, get the shuttle. Tilly, get the shuttle.
Bring the shuttle around front, please.
Yeah.
Also brilliant. All right, Stan, bring it home.
For reasons, I think he would be a super fun roommate, and because he's fully functional, Data.
Problematic gay alert.
I think Data would be a fun roommate at the academy, specifically.
I love when you alert yourself. It's so nice.
I have too much power with these buttons.
For the faces.
And indeed, if my mouse would work. Yep. It's, you know what? We're having a jet. It's a new building. It's a new year. Here we go. Top thoughts. Y'all, I love this show. Call me a shill. I was jazzed about the opportunity of this show when it was announced. And then they said Holly Hunter was going to be in it. Then they said Paul Giamatti was going to be in it. I'm like, dude, those two, they're offer only. They don't get into a project unless they have a full view of what it's going to be. Like, that sealed it for me. Even though I've had nitpicks of the streaming era Treks, including Discovery, where this picks up from, I loved it. I think the pilot did exactly what a pilot should do. It gave us some excellent world building. It gave us enough of the burn without needing to watch Discovery. I think this is a good entry point, Star Trek, for a new audience, which is one of their stated goals. And I think they leave enough familiarity while still doing something different. They also introduce all of the characters in really fun ways. We get more of some than others, obviously, because balancing screen time is a challenge, but it left me wanting more, which is exactly what you want out of a pilot. And I do think in the streaming era, this is the strongest pilot that they've done since 2017. And I've enjoyed all of them. I thought the story was compelling. I like that what they're weaving in with Caleb and with Nala. That's not too over the top. It doesn't feel tropey. It like they call it out later in the episode where, I am not your son who she lost, but there's still that connection. She's trying to correct a mistake. I love the humor. Like, I was surprised at how funny I found both of these episodes, but in the pilot in particular, the way that they weave humor throughout with Stephen Colbert's announcements, with the Master of Cadets, we'll get into it, but I thought it was an excellent pilot from start to finish. Great world building, great introduction of characters, left me wanting more, and I will hold off on episode 2. We'll talk about that in a bit, but those are my top thoughts. Joanne, your top thoughts on kids these days, or the Star Trek episode?
You don't want to get me started on kids these days. Old woman shouting at the wind. But I really enjoyed it. I thought it was exciting. I too, Stan, I've been excited since I saw the trailers and things. The context clues were there. I'm puzzled by folk who thought, oh, we didn't expect this greatness. And it's like, well, you don't understand subtext or clues. So it was really, really everything that I thought it would be and more. I do love the relationship dynamics that, you can be invested in someone without trying to supplant some hole in your life. I love the look of the place. The recent era has always been beautiful. I don't think anybody can complain about that. Well, somebody can find a way, but you can't complain. It looks great. I thought it was really, really good. It also, I have the attention span of a child sometimes when it comes to things that I watch. Like, I can read all day, but watching things I struggle. But this was very long, but it didn't feel long to me. So that let me know too, right? That I was invested. I wanted to see how this turned out. So I think it's a great start. I will fight you for Emissary for Best Pilot, but it's still a very good start. Very, very good start. I loved it. Benji.
I loved it too. One thing I've noticed, like, I've never seen a Star Trek series get this much like media attention and hype, like anywhere. Like, it feels big and it feels like a turning point. And after seeing it, it feels like a turning point. Like, it feels like this was sort of the balance that they've been trying to strike since 2017, basically, when they started rebooting Star Trek again. And they sort of brought it in line with other new sci-fi series. I'm thinking like For All Mankind and Andor and stuff like that. It's, I think audiences dismissed sci-fi for years, but like the new streaming generation of sci-fi shows has been like a lot more believable to new audiences, and they like convey that through, again, particularly in this series, through like exceptional cinematography and like the quality of performance is there, and the writing is like solid, like line by line by line, including like needle drops. It helps that feeling to me too. So this really feels like something new. It is also, again, it's balanced, like it is rooted in Trek. It speaks directly to our time. Like I've been pulling quotes all throughout it. Like Nala says at one point, like separating children from their parents isn't exceptional, it's reprehensible. Things like that. Like, man, did they get it right. So yeah, I'm all over it. And there's like little stuff too. Like I just love that like Gina Yasher knows what a Jem'Hadar is. Like that's wild to me. Like I'm just thinking about all the new fans who are getting introduced to this lore now, and it really tickles me. So yeah, loved it. Mott.
I am going to give my overview, like just in general, because to me, these two were so perfectly tied together as a setup and execution. I was a little worried going into Academy, and I know I've talked to some of you guys about this already, of like, I thought they would get a little too obnoxious with the cadets, and like within the first half of the first episode, all of my fears were subsided. Like the way that they go about writing the characters and executing them, it doesn't just feel tropey. It feels like each one of them is a fully fleshed out, fully thought out individual. And I give so much credit to the actors that are bringing that. Like the actors are, we could talk about Jay Den's, Klingon, which I feel like when you get any new Klingon actor, they're going to need to settle into that accent. It's not an easy thing to do. Like, it's just all of them are so good at what they're doing. Like this is the best Trek I feel like we've had in modern era. And being able, the tonal shifts, especially when you get into the second episode and you have that, like the sweeping pans over San Francisco where they have like the more classical music that you would like in like a more, I don't even know exactly how I would describe it, because it fits so perfectly in my head that it's like, this is exactly what I would want for this. It's that like upbeat in between segue moment. And it just felt right. Like every single thing in this show feels pitch perfect. And I am so excited about this. Like I am so excited about being able to call out the cadets when they're being obnoxious teenagers. Like, hey, stop it. You're a kid. This isn't about you. Like all of it is just, it was perfect. I'm thrilled beyond thrilled. The ship design, the everything. I mean, I can complain about only one thing, and I still think we need to bring back carpets, but that's just me.
I really enjoyed the pilot. I was one of those people that thought when I heard Holly Hunter was attached to this and Paul Giamatti, I thought it was bait. I didn't believe that there would be that much screen time devoted to these two actors. I thought it was kind of, buzz bait, and I was afraid that it was going to be very 90210 as I remember the show. And I think what distinguishes it from that, aside from better writing, is that the adults are present. Whereas in that show, the adults were periphery characters, if that. And so I was really pleased to see that Holly Hunter is not a stand-in captain or chancellor. She's an actual minute-by-minute participant. I was a little surprised to not see Tatiana Maslany's name put out there. I don't know if anybody's familiar with Orphan Black, but she played 8 separate characters, believably. She plays Caleb's mother, and I'm hoping we see her again. I'm anticipating seeing her again. But I think the setup is great. I think that the visuals were beautiful. It was interesting. I think I personally noted that at that early stage, I think the actors haven't begun to breathe in the role. They're still figuring out the role. So some things came across as a little stilted, but I think it's just a matter of becoming the role versus, familiarity with the role. I think it's fully Star Trek. I don't see any problem with that. And I look forward to what they're going to produce. I like that I'm not personally invested into any single one of these characters. They're all fresh and brand new, and there isn't that much of a canonical obstacle to get over. They are what they are. And I appreciate that most. It's just all entirely brand new.
No surprise. I think we all really probably enjoyed the pilot. I think it's incredibly solid. I think it does everything a good pilot is supposed to do. It did feel a little paint by numbers in some ways. I wasn't surprised by anything that's happened in it in terms of like the structure of it. Like I felt like we were moving through at a certain pace, which I mean, as a pilot, you can't, if it's not broke, fix it. But and I did find that I would have liked it to maybe been a two-parter, like a 2-hour moment, and there were longer episodes, but there wasn't a point where the episode kind of breathed. Like everything seemed to be going so quickly. It was like 1 minute they were leaving space dock, next minute they were under attack, and then they landed at San Francisco. It was like I feel like there should have been a moment for people, the characters, to at least kind of have a moment of reconciliation with what just happened. But that's so nitpicky because it was a solid pilot. I think the visuals are some of the we've seen in the series. The sets are incredible. The costumes are amazing. The amount of Easter eggs in this, there are aliens from every series in the background, and it's so full. And I've always kind of voiced my desire that the background, the characters of the world are more colorful, that there's more people, there's different species kind of scattered out, because we always get a large swath of humans, and then we get a couple of like bowl cuts and then some blue people occasionally. Like it just felt really great because there was like just places to pick out actors. Like I know in the second episode we get almond basket, not peanut hamper, but we get like references to every series. There's I remember what Rock's species, but Rock is randomly a cousin. Yeah, just randomly in there. It's like it's doing everything it's doing right. It's full of enough Easter eggs to keep everyone entertained. I think it's striking a really great balance between the kind of teen drama focused moment that they're looking for, but also it's still very Star Trek. And like and sometimes I get a little that Star Trek sometimes gets looked at like a brand. Like we can slap Star Trek on this. Like, oh, this is a horror movie, but it's Star Trek. Oh, this is our, throwback show, but it's there's always like, slap that brand on it. But this, it feels like it's picked up what is important about Star Trek and is giving kind of a fresh voice and face to it. And I think the cast is incredible. Holly Hunter obviously is amazing. If they keep this up, like if this performance and this character maintains it, I think she's going to go down as one of the best captains we've had, because this is like some of the best shit. Like she's fun, but she's also like she's pulling stuff from every captain. It just is really good. Like I think everyone on the show is fantastic. Anyway, but I'll move on to Ken. Loved it. Great pilot. He's great.
What's the TOS guy gonna say? So first of all, I think the moment that they started with that opening with the TOS Enterprise flying by, that 60th anniversary montage that they had, I thought that was brilliant. That was a great start. I mean, I'll cut to the chase. I think that as a pilot, there's Where No Man Has Gone Before, and yes, Joanna, I would say Emissary, but this takes out everyone else. This takes out Enterprise. the Next Generation. This takes out uh, everything but Deep Space Nine in the original when it comes to the pilot. I think this was a fantastic pilot. So that's my quick summary. I think that my biggest fear was that this was going to be the kids solve the problem. That this was going to be a Scooby-Doo kind of thing, or a Buffy the Vampire kind of thing, and the adults were going to be the bumbling people that always mess it up, and the kids have to save the day. And there was a moment where I thought that they were leaning towards that in this episode, but they didn't. And I was pleasantly surprised by they are very, very rooted in Star Trek history with this show, but they're not doing it to the point where it's like people are rolling their eyes and saying that's too much, right? I think that they did it very, very well. They struck a really good balance. Obviously, they've got the Doctor there from Voyager, and it was really great to see him. It was great to see his nod to the Voyager pilot with medical tricorder. I thought that was fantastic. The reference to his work with the Prodigy crew, the Protostar, and giving some hints to what happened to those characters, including Captain Gwendella. I think that was fantastic. They did a great job. I think it's incredibly well cast. Again, it is a pilot, as others, as Will mentioned, others. They're obviously still a little bit rough around the edges of being a pilot, but you can't. I mean, Holly Hunter knocks it out of the park. The fact that they made her half Lanthanite, that gives her the historical age to be able to say, I remember when Starfleet was Starfleet, 400 years old. That was a great touch. And she obviously is, I agree. I think that she could be one of the best Star Trek captains. Clearly, she's got the chops of pretty much any other actor who's arguably better than any other actor who's been a Star Trek captain, but that's an argument for another day. So I think that's really wonderful. I really enjoyed it. I thought that the action, when I saw the clip of just the attack, it struck me as very Star Trek Beyond. But having seen the entire show, it's got nothing like that, and I think that it stands on its own. And I was very impressed. And I think that it was the kind of thing where I did not immediately go to episode 2. I took a break. I took a couple hours break. But after watching the pilot and wrapping it up, I was like, I want to see the next episode. And not because I'm a Star Trek fan, which is kind of why I wanted to see the next episode after Encounter at Farpoint. I was like, I guess it's called Star Trek. Maybe I'll watch another one. This was really good. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do next. So that's my top thoughts, and I will pass it on to Trevor.
Me. Before I get into my top thoughts, I did have a quick question, Ken. Did you notice the sounds of the doors?
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't the only one that was detecting TOS sound effects. So I love that little tie-in. But I hate to sound like a broken record, but I think it's unanimous. I think we all really enjoyed this show. I think the thing that I love the most is the thing that surprised me the most, which is that the young person / teen angst that occurs is so well executed that it doesn't annoy me in like a Saved by the Bell kind of way. It's actually kind of lovely in I recognize that behavior. That was funny. We're moving on now. And the actors are so good at sort of landing those moments of this is just it's almost like the teen angst or the young person angst is a one-liner. Like it's dropped in and then they move quickly past it. I think part of the reason is probably the age and caliber of the actors. We'll talk more about their caliber as we move on, but Karim is 30. Sandro's 26, playing 21. So I think these people have matured into their acting abilities a little bit and are more comfortable kind of mocking these things and then moving through whatever's on the page in terms of being a little bit more mature. Loved everything every adult did too. Like there wasn't really anything that I could find that I was like, I really don't like this about the pilot. I'll nitpick a little bit when we get to the next episode. But from a pilot perspective, if anyone had a spoiler in the social verse who was watching us discuss it, the turbolift actually has a couch in it, which is fantastic. So Matt, I think you were the one that actually called it.
I saw that and I was like, that's a turbo lift. They have
Yeah.
couches in a turbo lift.
I love that you could just sit down, because the number, I mean, listen, Mama's approaching 50. Like, the number of times I just want to sit down for 5 minutes, this is a tall building. I'm just going to take a minute. Yeah, it's everything about the Athena is fun. I thought I was going to be annoyed because what we saw in Discovery of 32nd century ships, everything was very fanciful and magical, and how are the insides of these ships going to function and work and not look visually confusing? And the Athena actually makes sense. And so I'm enjoying, I'm not a ship nerd, but I'm enjoying the Athena herself. And yeah, I have questions about Peanut Hamper's descendants or relatives, because Almond Basket was adorable, and I would like there to be more of them. And I have come up with a list of names that I'll share later. Those are my top.
Can I also?
Can you?
I don't know if,
Let it out. Let it out. You're
I
okay.
don't know.
It's a
My
safe
internet's
space.
been really fun today. So
Okay. But what were you going to say?
I also really want to say to I honestly don't know if I'm coming through. It's fine.
You're coming through.
You should stop talking in the middle of your sentence a few more times just to test it.
Trev, I wanted to piggyback off that and also say, when you were talking about fanciful in the 32nd century and everything, I am so glad that they are not. One of the biggest things I forgot to mention was I'm so glad they're not overusing the transporter like they did in the end of Discovery, where they just beamed everywhere. It was just this ping pong. It felt like distant. Now you actually have the students, because realistically, when all the students went to they should have all just like immediately beamed to their cabins, or their rooms. But I was glad that you got to see. It feels more lived in. It feels more real now. That I feel like we're getting away from that fantasy. Anyway,
and it didn't feel safe the way that Discovery was doing it, but also the way that Discovery did it made sense in that if you just found out you could do that, you'd be doing it all the time.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. It feels like It feels like you're like, okay, we don't need to do that all the time. I don't need my molecules spread around the ship constantly.
I don't need to use the power. I want to walk around a little bit.
Yeah. And since you gave me the time to look it up, I've named 3 relatives or members of the Exocomp civilization: Walnut Bin, Cashew Carton, and Pistachio Crate.
Doris McFadden.
I will say, though, about the transporters, does it seem a little bit invasive to sort of suddenly have your uniform and haircut happen? That bothered me.
I was thinking that. It did feel a little like, oh, I didn't have a say in this. I just walked through this arch and now I'm a different, a hotter human, but
I don't know. The long hair worked. But yeah. I don't know that it's invasive. I mean, how do we know that wasn't on file as something he's had once before and it just put him in that style?
If you want to talk invasive, Starfleet still doesn't have like personal health privacy in the 31st century.
Everybody in a line, everybody hearing everybody's business.
This is your doctor's appointment. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
there's something in your bowels, cadet. And now everybody around here knows. I'm the doctor.
I was gonna. No, I'm not. Never mind.
HIPAA doesn't exist.
Well, you know what's funny is like this is why I love the Salon, because everybody is picking up on different things that I didn't notice. Like that didn't like those kinds of things didn't occur to me because I found the show so fun and enjoyable. Normally on my second watch, I have my notebook to write notes. I wasn't writing notes because I was just enmeshed in the story. And I found, like, not to get too real, but like, I need this show. I think we all need this show right now. The real world is rough right now. And this show has a hopeful tone. It is an allegory to our times, like all good Star Trek can be. And I loved, like, just moving us into talking about the story of this pilot. Something that I loved that they did was it wasn't generation versus generation. It was an acknowledgement of the reality. The scene between Vance, goddamn sexy Vance is back. Thank you, Paramount. Thank you. And I did not.
Do we have a problematic Zaddy alert?
I'll work on it because listen, I did not know that man could get hotter. And then he said 3 magic words. I was wrong. And hearing a man admit he was wrong.
Problematic gay alert.
That scene between him and Nala, I loved. Like it was excellent world building. It set up what life is like post burn, why she left Starfleet. You clearly get the sense like it wasn't just that one instance. That was the straw that broke the camel's back. But like a teacher in Starfleet is getting more and more pissed. I'm going to go back to being an educator in that beautiful garden.
In that beautiful garden where?
On Bajor.
On Bajor.
I missed the actual name, but it's the Keiko Garden.
Uh-huh.
It was named. So I need to find that.
Remember, it wasn't that she just got like irritated with what was happening later on. She's old enough to have remembered what Starfleet was at, and here's my small nerd like DTI thing. Like DTI was around, it was 28th, 29th century. That was right before the burn happened. That was like the height of the Federation. We had time travel. We finally harnessed like all of these different things. Like we had the largest, group of planets that the Federation had ever seen. It was the most, beneficial era. And then she watched it all collapse in 100 years. This thing that had been
in instant and stay collapsed over 100 years.
Yeah. But I mean, like she watched them revert back to that like old, toxic, insular, like, and she realized that this is not what the Federation was ever supposed to be, and that's why you finally get that. And I think that is one of the most powerful messages that I've been seeing in this. Not to get too far into it, but that like what I wanted to see, and if my headcanon of writing my own Star Trek story, it would be to say we have already gone too far in the real world of insulating ourselves and not caring about other cultures. Now we need to say, how do we get out of that? Let's show somebody that is wanting to swing the pendulum the other way. And I think that's what this is actually doing, is she's saying like, and when we get into the second episode, all of that, like, hey, we're not just focusing on how to weaponize our knowledge of other people to protect ourselves, but we're remembering that we were supposed to be doing this in the first place.
And it bridges the gap really well. Like the whole gist of the Academy is you've got the generations that have come before as the instructors. You've got a new generation coming out of a post-burn Federation society, coming back together, getting back to Earth. Another thing that I loved about that scene with Vance was an acknowledgement. Like they did some excellent world building in this episode. You don't need to have seen Discovery to get into the show and understand the burn as much, but the scene with him and Ake on Bajor explaining shit was hanky. We made some bad choices. He was giving a reason, but not excusing it. I think a lot of folks, like, just to be a little too real world for a moment, like some folks in the boomer generation being like, well, kids just don't want to work anymore. Like, no, back in 1992, you could buy a house on a minimum wage job. That is not the case anymore. So seeing this scene where he's acknowledging we did the best we could, we made mistakes, we were wrong, and now we have an opportunity to do things differently, while at the same time they challenge these cadets in a way that's not like, okay, you just do it if you're so smart. It's like, no, you've got some good ideas, let's hear you out, let's do what makes sense, let's push back on what doesn't. Like the bridging of generations I thought was done really well in this episode. And in particular, like I think it was Ken who said earlier, I agree. There was also a little bit of concern on my end weeks ago. It was like, oh, is it just going to be like the kids solve everything and the adults get in the way? But it really wasn't that. They had to work together. You know, they had to. Caleb had the idea. He's like, I've heard this before. I think I know who this is. Captain Ake hears him out. Other people didn't want him to. It was weaved really well. Other thoughts on the story of this episode before we just talk more about the introduction of the specific characters?
I did want to acknowledge. Oh, sorry. I was just going to something that Norman said in the chat, which is just that, you know, during all of that time with Ake, she also lost a son in the burn, and that very brief, like, it came up quite naturally and was addressed so well. Of like, yes, that it felt like you were watching a real conversation. I don't know, and that's kind of how I feel about this entire episode and really this series so far. These conversations feel natural. The use of contemporary language makes the humor more comfortable. Instead of it constantly being, oh, let's find a way to have some sort of fish out of water scenario so we can pretend like this is funny. Just let them talk like people that we recognize in terms of how people speak, and then they can be funny. And I love that Gina Yasharai mentioned that Thok is funny without knowing she's funny. And it plays that way and beautifully. She is hilarious and has no idea. She just thinks she's screaming and being effective. and she's actually terrifying and humorous all at the same time.
That is a great segue in talking about these characters. So you're right. Gina Yeshere, man, this character, they could have gone any number of directions with the Klingon, any number of directions with the Jem'Hadar, combine those two. The fact that they hired a comedian to be in that role, they also could have gone the war fruit where like he was the butt of the joke, but he didn't really get it. Instead, they're letting her be funny. But like you said, like she's not trying to be funny in universe. She just is. And letting that character be a point of humor is such a smart choice. Because they very easily could have just made her a drill master, yell like about honor and other tropey stuff, like very limited. Like we've talked about this before, where a lot of Trek cultures are pretty one note, and she hits those one notes on both of her cultures, but then expands on them as a character really well. Who else had thoughts about Laura Thok? Laura, excuse me. Will?
I found myself really taken by the character. I think the rage that must be inside that woman, because like she's also Klingon and Jem'Hadar, like two of the warlike species we have seen in Star Trek. So it's like, God, like but the way they're doing it, it's like the anger is just her like base level. Like I don't think we've seen her angry. I think that's her being nice, which is what's funny. And like we don't get much of her in the previews, which I wish we would have gotten more of, because like we got the clip with the runner, which I thought was really cute, but the like getting more of her, the way she kind of cares for, she's the first to go take care of the students. Like there's a lot of really cool, interesting, like there's some probably interesting texture for that character. But I also like her relationship with Captain Ake, the way those two work together. It reminds me of like later Chakotay and Janeway in a way, because those two really complemented each other well in terms of like command and their kind of camaraderie and their chemistry. And those two I feel like kind of have a similar thing just from their limited interaction thus far.
Krista?
I think that for me, she struck me as a kind of a very pleasant matriarchal auntie, the one that would throw the shoe at you, the one that would, like smack you on the back of the head because you were back talking your mother, the one that was the one where you really kind of stepped and fetched it when she came into the room. And I don't want to disagree, but I sort of disagree with, I think it would have ruined the surprise of her character to have too much of her out there before the pilot, because in small doses, it's easier to make a snap judgment about, I'm not going to like this character, because when we get her in the full dose, you're kind of like, this shit is funny, but I get it. And she comes across as more empowered in the full picture versus the risk of being very tropey in a small dose, like sneak peek. But otherwise, I agree with everything that you said.
It also, I think, would have opened her up to even more online hate, which,
right.
Girl, do not come for Gina Yashere, because the way she dragged, what did she call Elon Musk? Melted candles shaped into a human. Like, if you're gonna have a criticism about her, try to actually have a criticism and not just something that's fat phobic or racist or sexist.
My favorite was a condom full of mashed potatoes.
Yeah.
He looks like
I also want to agree with Krista in that I think this, if we had seen more, people would have had that preconceived notion.
Mm-hmm.
And now that you're watching it, it's almost like, here, congrats. Here's your prize for actually tuning in and watching it, because she is such a gift. Like, that character is such a gift to this show. The way that she interacts with everything, the way that when she and Holly Hunter in the second episode, when they get to the academy and she just starts yelling at Caleb, and Holly's just standing there like I'm not saving you.
He needs to get his ass kicked.
Literally, yeah. But then she stands up for him later and is like, well, he's been getting his ass kicked his entire life. Like, they already have that. And then she put it in the chat. They have an effortless chemistry immediately. Yes. They had never met before. She was reviewing. Maybe they had met, but actually, no, I don't think she had, because she was reviewing their files in the shuttle and she said hi to everyone. So I assumed that she had never met the bridge crew of the Athena yet. And it just felt everything felt so natural. It felt, she's incredible. And
I also loved her with the other cadets, like with the other Klingon. She's like, you are running from something. Like, she clocked his ass. She's like, you're running from something. If you run from this, that will only compound it. And when she pulled Sam in and said, if I am going to die by losing blood, I need significantly less cheerfulness. I totally butchered that quote, but it was so fucking funny. Like, what a great way to cut the tension of that moment. And for Sam to be like, I hear you. So good. They did such a good job.
The background, the little conversation with her and Tig, Jet, when they're standing at the cab table during the reception.
With you?
Yeah. We need to their strongest versus our strongest. Fight to the death.
No, seriously, what is wrong with you?
I
need more of them.
Roommate. I just want to talk about everybody.
Yeah.
Animated lesbian on lesbian comedy any day. Like, they are like, I love them to death.
The show really is doing a really good job with sort of side sound things. Like in that scene.
Okay, everybody stop having fun. Ken wants to get us back on track.
No. I'm going to say the one thing that from the scene where you're talking about was just, if I'm about to die, I need to do it with a hell of a lot less joy. I mean, that was a great line. And then when she pushes the Klingon off screen and you just hear him off screen going, ow. I mean, that was great. Just the way they do those little things is just awesome.
Sam, no need to thank me.
Yep.
Yeah.
And also, I was concerned in I forget which, because we got like 6 trailers. I was concerned in one of the trailers about the cadence with which Karim was speaking as Jaden. And it didn't happen in that. Like it felt like you could clearly hear him altering the depth of his voice, but it didn't feel as artificial as it felt in that trailer. So I don't know if that was just slowed down. So maybe it was like we need to slow this down to hear it over the music kind of thing, or what, whether something happened in editing or what. But in action, the character's voice oscillation did not bother me at all.
And a shy Klingon is something we've needed to see in a good actor portrayal, because yikes, is Alexander not it?
Well, I don't want to be a warrior.
I don't want.
I also think that he didn't need to lower his voice that much. Like, I think here's my only criticism. I think, and as I think it was Wendy in the chat mentioned, I didn't realize that Alex Kurtzman called him and said, you have 2 weeks to lower your voice type of thing. I think that they could have been like,
that's not exactly how he probably said it, just FYI, just for the audience.
Actually, I have
Alex Kurtzman called him and said, listen, Homo, you gotta bring it down.
Listen, Queen,
you're up here. We need you here.
No, but
I'm Alex Kurtzman.
I feel like he might. I feel like he's extending he's pushing a little hard down. He could bring it up a little bit and still be okay. And because it is a little distracting to me, because I'm like, you can tell he's clearly focused on his voice. But I love him as an actor portraying this character. The chemistry already between him and Caleb is fantastic. Like, I love all of this so much.
I'm just going to say it. That he can push it any which way he wants.
Problematic gay alert.
Yeah, but it's also another example of effortlessly weaving in humor into this episode. Another thing that was weaved in pretty effortlessly by the incredible Holly Hunter. I got to talk about this chair bit.
Oh,
I love Holly Hunter, and I love her sitting in chairs. And if she's not a bisexual queen, she was coached by a bisexual queen on how to sit in chairs.
Why does she sit like a gay man?
Right.
I'm not complaining.
That's the thing. I firmly believe that she just went on screen and just did this one day and was like, this is how my character sits in the chair now.
And her first engage was just like, let's go to San Francisco. I'm comfortable. Let's go to San Francisco. The adjustment was really funny. And I've thought about this I've thought about this all the time. And in fact, improv group and I did, our shtick was Star Trek Between Missions. Cause they've got so much fucking time on their hands. Like every scene, it's like, emergency, red alert, we'll be there in an hour, we'll be there in 15 hours, warp 9, engage. And then it cuts to the next scene. But once they say engage, they're just
for 9 hours.
And so I love that Holly was like, I'm going to read a book. I'm going to get comfortable in this giant throne of a captain's chair and read a book. Krista, you have your hand raised.
I think it also is, in terms of the character, I think it's also her way to not necessarily get, she carries on the tradition of being captains who left or resigned or whatever in disgrace, that for some reason down the line are then asked to come back. And I think possibly it plays for her character to not appropriately sit in that chair as a way to not buy her own hype, if you will. Like she's like, I'm not going back to what I was or what I did. And I don't support what happened. And it's kind of a very physical way that's very peaceful to continue to assert she is a new person, or her direction is new. Her ideas are her ideas, and they are not owned by Starfleet. I think it was a very subtle sort of, you will not own me kind of thing, which I really liked.
Cue the music.
You don't
R.I.P.
own me. Oh, sorry.
R.I.P. Diane.
It also, though, to piggyback on what Krista was saying, it's also something that I was noticing about the show on my second or maybe third rewatch. The show itself doesn't take itself too seriously, yet it's talking about these incredibly serious topics. So she's sort of emblematic of that. Her very sort of relaxed and I'm going to curl up in this chair and read a good book approach, the wisping away of the holographic communication in the midst of these very serious circumstances is not only perfect, but ties back into what you were saying, Stan, about like this show being very timely and us sort of needing this. We need to approach these very serious issues, but sometimes we need to take a minute and take a breath and be a person and just realize that not every day can be high stakes. Even if they are high stakes, it can't feel that way all the time. You can't be at 10 forever. It's not humanly possible. Which, no disrespect to a Trek that I am extremely fond of, and that this one is the daughter of, but Discovery was very melodramatic. Everything was huge. Everything was, wait, let's talk about this for 20 minutes. And it's like, well, the bridge is on fire, but hang on, let's talk about our relationship. Like
Madam President, I have a conversation with you in the middle.
I say that as somebody who absolutely, I have an over-indexed appreciation for Discovery. I love Discovery. I love Michael Burnham. I love Burnham and Book. They are possibly my favorite Trek couple. So I say all of that with all due respect, but the levity that comes from that sort of casual approach, and again, the show not taking itself too seriously, it's echoed in the music, it's echoed in the characters, it's echoed in how the humor is believable. It all gets bundled up into a thing that was much more palatable than I anticipated. And I anticipated enjoying myself, but I didn't anticipate enjoying myself this much.
I have to push back on one thing. You said the best Trek couple, and I have to say so far, because
it hasn't happened yet.
Enemies to lovers. Is enemies to lovers happening here? I don't know. It's not. But I will say queer baiting.
Enemies with throuples.
Would subscribe.
I would pay $20.99 a month.
The thing about these cadets, and this will weave into episode 2 a little bit as well. Like they're butting heads, and then they have to be roommates. Like it could be tropey. There are hints of it, but then they have like really good moments, and then they move on. Like they're bitchy with each other, but then they're focused on the mission at hand. That like, but the sexual tension is there.
And what I love is, and this is the main thing I was so worried about with this, with that tropey cadet, the tension, yada yada. Then it breaks in the second episode when he helps him make the bed. Like, what are you doing? Like, no, that's not how it is. And then you see that breakthrough of what Star Trek actually is, of that, like, yeah, he thinks you're a fucking idiot. He hates your fucking guts, and it's so much so he's gonna help you make your bed because he like. It's
and that's like, what Star Trek is, everybody.
Correct. That's it.
But do you know why the bed making? But the bed making hit hard. Like it actually brought a little bit of a tear because of the early
hit hard in the bed.
Because no, you little whore.
I'm not pushing the button.
Don't
Trevor
push
makes
because I'm landing this point because of the comment earlier of I've never had a bed.
Yeah.
The Caleb being who he is, and Darum being who he is, and Darum being like, let me just go not be a douchebag for 20 seconds. I was like, okay, maybe there's a person in there that isn't a small fish-dicked twit.
Yes. And it also was a good tie-in to Nala Ake's speech at the beginning. Captain Ake gets good speeches in both of these episodes.
She gives good speech.
It said, I mean, Holly is great, obviously, but like the writing is crisp. It is crisp because it is hopeful. She makes really good points, like you make your bed. then you put one shoe, or I forget the second thing that she said, but like but then using the tapestry metaphor, I think was done really well. You do one thing to set yourself up for success, and then you work together as a team or with your family. It was quintessential Trek in a new vessel, literally and figuratively. It was lovely.
Right.
And we also, go ahead, Krista.
It was make your bed and show up on time for class.
Yes.
These are like common sense things. So yes, it's everything that you're saying, but it's also kind of it represents that thing that's going on now in our lives where we're kind of like, I wish we could maybe go back. I wish we could do this again. I wish that when things were easier, when things were clearer, no matter how misinformed or how ill-gotten, it's the comfort of simplicity. And the comfort of simplicity is never you're never gonna harm anybody by making your bed. You're never gonna harm anybody by showing up on time. So, helping somebody make their bed is just an extension from that. I realize that the podcast that I'm on, but that's just kind of the natural progression from. It wasn't so much that one was helping the other, it was that the other was allowing them to help. Because from his very subjective experience, he doesn't invest in anything because everything is taken away. So you don't invest. You stay removed and you stay prickly and you stay sort of bowed up. So the point where they're making the bed together is a massive statement for both characters.
Absolutely. We've got 2 more cadets to talk through before we talk about episode 2 a little more in depth. I love these characters. I'll talk about Sam in a moment, but I want to talk about Genesis because from the clips, Genesis was the one I was a little like, oh, is she going to be a little one note? Is this going to be the like, because there was the like, I have to be captain. Like, I know a clip is just a clip, but I had a question from the clip, but both of these episodes, the pilot in particular, I love. Not a single character do I dislike. And Genesis, I think, is such a fun character. It's such a fun way to do that character. The character that Starfleet is her family. She's expected to go into Starfleet. She's good. She has command authority. She's funny. And she's not like... I think with all of these characters, they could have been a little too archetyped. They could have been a little too tropey. Like that character could very easily be written to be a bitch, for lack of a better term, and to use a dude bro term, like, oh, an authoritative woman, she must be a bitch. That character could have been written to be more of that trope, and she's just not. She is just good at what she does, and really fun and pleasant and kind.
The real trope would have been for Darum to be the I need to be a captain because I'm the rich, privileged, annoying guy. And for Genesis to be the I want to be a doctor or a scientist. And for
support the man and what he wants to do.
For Jaden to be, I'm going to be a warrior for Starfleet. Like I love that they've just sort of shaken the snow globe of these tropes, and Genesis has emerged as, I think, not my favorite character to look at, but my favorite character. Like for inappropriate reasons, my eyes are drawn elsewhere. But for all of the plot reasons and the good character reasons, I really, really love Genesis. I think she's fantastic, and I love Bella as Genesis, and I love Bella in interviews.
Yeah,
on social, her media training is clearly on point, but she's genuine and she's interested in playing this role and she's interested in Star Trek, and she's also going to be at STLV according to their website.
Yes.
So super.
Hopefully they get all of them.
I hope they all are, and I have a sneaking suspicion they probably will be. But season 2 wraps filming, I think, way before August, so I would imagine they'll be there. But yeah, I'm very much looking forward to the fact that she's going to be there, and I can't wait to see where Genesis goes.
Yeah, I think of the cadets, she has the most acting experience, the most acting credits, and I think you're right in her media training and like her savvy and like how she talks about her projects. Like it's pretty evident. But even Carice Brooks, who plays Sam, who was more into dancing prior to this role. I think this is her first acting role. What a natural, just and so fun, and the energy of that character is so delightful.
This is a call to fans. Be kind to Carice at every opportunity. I believe she's the youngest, not only in portrayal, but as the youngest actress as well. The trolls are trolling, and the targeting of this young woman is hopefully the positivity rises above the noise. But there's a lot of negativity directed her way. And as fans and as part of this community and this family, let's drown it out. Like, just be as kind to Carice as you can. So if you're following her on socials, comment on how amazing she is and how fabulous her character is, and just how much fun she's clearly having in this role, and how this could have been a very clumsy character.
Yeah,
particularly from like that. Nailing
if she
that
was
intro,
in Voyager, she would have been clumsy.
Nailing that intro was critical, and she nailed it. So I'm super excited for her and all the things that come for.
And
for
what a fun challenge to be with Picardo, and like
Yeah.
what a daunting challenge that could have been, and just knocks it out of the park. Matt, take it.
I've been waiting. I wanted to bring this up because I really want to know. There's something. Bob Picardo has even said that later on in the series, you'll find something out. Something happens to the Doctor that is, it lets you see a new element of the Doctor, basically, like that he's something, whatever. There's something that I hope we find out, that there's a reason that he is acting like that to another holographic life form. Like that in his 800 years, there was something there that he was like, oh, you're that one.
The way he reacted to Gwendala's name being brought up.
Like there was something there that I'm like, I want to explore why he's not immediately, because he is very mentor forward on so many things. So I'm really interested to see, because you could tell that she kind of just assumed like, oh yeah, no, this is Uncle Doctor. Like, you know, like, oh, if I'm going to the academy, I'm going to see him and at least I'll be safe with him. And it seemed like that was the exact opposite of what happened. So I'm hoping that they will explore this more, because I almost was a little bit like, I wanted to like step in as Janeway and be like, Doctor, what are you doing? Like, Doctor.
My theory is, after 800 years, I mean, imagine, aside from the Lanthanites and the El-Orians in your life, how many people you get close to who have passed. Not only is he carrying that, but now he has this young photonic cadet who he's probably not looking forward to needing to prepare her for this reality that she's going to be facing, hopefully not for many decades, but definitely would be. Like that's my theory, but like the tonnage of his experience, the Doctor's experience with the 4-month but 17-year-old, like what a fun acting challenge. And Carice Brooks is just fucking knocking it out of the park, dude. Like, I mean, they're all doing an excellent job, but like this show is fun as hell, y'all.
It's so good.
We're gonna talk about episode 2, but before I do, I do want to make some space. I know Benji, you've been a little quiet. Joanne, you've been a little bit quiet. Ken, you've been not as quiet as the other two, but a little bit quiet. I just want to make some space. If y'all have any thoughts about this pilot that we haven't talked about yet.
I just think y'all are have your people to salivate over, and Jaden is far too covered up. Too much fabric, too much rubber, too much whatever. It's not fair. Disappointed.
Problematic gay alert.
We hope and we ask Paramount, give us material to add to the problematic gay alert.
There's always
sadly
Instagram.
we can never add him.
I'm surprised y'all
What?
haven't mentioned the.
Well, because he wears a bodysuit.
Oh, well, I mean, you never know.
He wears a muscle
You never
suit, so
know.
he'll never be shirtless because then it would be inconsistent.
Klingon shirtless. They did it for Laurel. We saw her clitties.
Oh yeah.
Ken,
So I have a
Please.
theory which may not, as I'm listening to you guys and I watched these two episodes, I think I understand why they had to stop Prodigy. Because I think Prodigy was moving in this direction to some extent with the Doctor and with Starfleet Academy and with the training on the new Voyager. I think as I was watching this show, I'm thinking, well, what this would have been where Prodigy was going, which is, just again, that's just me thinking crazily, like I always do. But this was in a lot of ways like a live action Prodigy, to the point where I thought that Caleb was very much like Dahl at the beginning. There was a lot of comparison. There was a lot of ideas in my head that Caleb was trying to take control of that shuttle, and it was like there's a lot of Prodigy DNA in this show. That's not taking anything away from the show, because I think Starfleet Academy is fantastic. But I think that this may have been one of the reasons why they didn't move Prodigy forward, is because it would have been too close to what they're trying to do here.
everybody get your tin foil, form your hats.
No, the
Put
problem
them
is
on.
I'm on board with what he's saying because I can kind of see it too. It does have the archetypes. I'm not a direct parallel, but sorry for defending Ken.
I know.
Nobody's saying anything.
No one said a word. Nobody said a
It
word.
was all the looks. It was the Beta Z. He was picking up all the Beta Z. Shut up.
Final thoughts on
The
kids
faces.
these days. Joanne, final
I
thoughts
like
on
the
kids
ship.
these days before we talk about beta test.
Go ahead, Krista.
I liked the ship. I thought the ship was beautiful, and I liked how it looked like feathers and wings. It had a lightness to a ship. It didn't look like it was a battleship.
That's such a good way of putting it.
It looked like it was meant for higher aspirations.
Yeah.
And we all
And I'm
know the
glad
higher,
Starfleet's-
the fewer.
The higher, the fewer.
Oh, all right, y'all. Let's talk about episode 2, beta test. My top thoughts on beta test. I loved it. I thought it was excellent world building. I've wondered what was going on with Beta Z and some other cultures. I love that we got an expansion of their culture. We understand their politics a little bit. We understand that, and like we've seen this in TNG and other shows, the abilities of the Betazoids are not like set in stone. Like it is empathic, it is telepathic, it's all of those things. And just like with other abilities in different species, including our own, it's genetic, it's training, it's all of those things. So we got excellent world building. My favorite thing about this episode was that they did something that was a little nonsensical, but they made it make complete sense. One of my nitpicks of probably every show in the streaming era, and I'm sure when we talk about other episodes in 90s and in TOS, it will be there as well. There are a lot of things, particularly in the streaming era, like that. It's not just I don't like that choice. It's that makes no fucking sense. Strange New World season 3, full of them, at least 4.5 of them, if not more. But another great example to segue back into this episode was I love Discovery, but season 4, they're talking about what to do with the 10C. Literally everybody gets to give a speech. Everybody gets to have a vote. Like, what is this system? It makes no fucking sense. Ordinarily, it would make zero sense to have these kind of sensitive negotiations publicly in front of students, but they make it make complete sense. This is a learning opportunity. You are coming here in part because your youth are telling you we need to do things differently. We are hearing that from our youth as well. We know that mistakes have been made. We're trying to do things differently. This is a teaching moment. Like they say in the pilot with the liaison, there's a teachable moment. Let's utilize it as best we can. And most of the time, not talking about our Congress generally, but most of the time, I'm a huge believer in radical transparency. So having these negotiations not only makes for a great episode, but it fits the theme. I love this episode and the introduction of Tarima and her brother, and again, humor, lovely, loved it. Those are my top thoughts. Joanne, top thoughts on beta test?
I liked beta test too. I think I have a fondness for all things Beta Z and Betazoid too. So I was excited to see this. But the biggest thing that I really appreciated from this episode was that it was such an adult look at conflict resolution and management, that you can disagree, you can have passion, and charged conversations, and it not devolve into name calling and, oh, he's just a dick or whatever. It's like, oh, we need to take a break. And that's it. And they come back and everybody sort of respects their office and station and opinion. They use the tools at hand, influence and persuasion. I thought it was just such a brilliant look at open, honest communication. That is just, I don't know, it's very sophisticated, I thought. And a lost art. So very cutting edge for me. So I loved it.
Also loved. Yeah, I think I was a little bit confused about like where Fed HQ is supposed to end up, because I was pretty certain it was still on that space station at the end of Discovery, which takes place in the future. But maybe it just takes them a really long time to build it. But yeah, I mean, I the fact that Trek has always been very Earth centric and like Homo sapiens only club. I think again, it's again a sign of the times where it's like Star Trek needs to set an example where it's not all about us to the exclusion of others. We are, going to be vulnerable and put ourselves into someone else's house and trust them.
And fuck Paris. I love that they said, girl, fuck Paris.
And get that fucking tube out of the Eiffel Tower. What they were thinking. But yeah, it was cute. I mean, it was I think a very solid second episode. I really like the way so far in just such a short period of time, in 2 episodes, that this series has really like doubled down and reinforced on the lore of different like Star Trek species. Like, last episode, I was really excited about, Jem'Hadar and who they were, and now we're building on Betazoids. And so all these new fans are going to have like this really rich world that they are not just rebuilding, but like drawing from and enhancing. And I think that was always something that I found that Star Trek was kind of weak on. And I think they're doing a phenomenal job of it here again. So again, I'm just excited for this show bringing in new fans. I don't know. It's just something I've always wanted. Also, there's just something about that Stanley Dot. I just want to wring its little neck. I don't know.
It's
Did
the
y'all
Jeremy
feel that,
Quaid
or-
voice actor.
Okay.
Or it's my name.
Something like that. Matt.
While I loved the first episode because it was great, I loved the second one even more because it felt, the first one you were very Star Trek. It was on a ship, you had a captain, you had this crew, yada yada yada, very Star Trek. The second episode was what's been going on Earth. Like, what is happening on Starfleet Academy, where we finally get to see. I love the beautiful sweeping panoramas of San Francisco. I love like everything that they're doing. You have the ability to tell more real world stories because they are on a real world and not just in space the whole time. I was thinking about it, and part of me, obviously being a Star Trek nerd, I get defensive of like, well, of course Betazoid, like, why wouldn't you want to come back and join the Federation? Like, we can finally do this. Like, you were one of the early members, not founding, but like earlier on. And then I was like, yeah, but you also got occupied during the Dominion War and kind of ripped apart, and the Federation didn't send a fleet to help you. Like, they kind of cut you loose even back during the Dominion War. So maybe this has been like foundation that has been laid for a while, that Betazed's like, listen, we're out there just far enough that you can't really do as much as you think you can. So I really enjoyed them pushing back and forth, and ultimately, obviously, coming around. I'm not the biggest fan of when we're like, oh, they have a psychic barrier up. I'm like, well, okay, now we're getting a little more into fantasy than we are into science fiction. Like, you're talking just like you have a psychic barrier around an entire sector. But it's Star Trek, and we have swallowed much bigger pills to accept plot points. So that doesn't really bother me. Incredible episode all around. And obviously everything we talked about before. Also loved when we had that moment where he and
top thoughts, Boo. Speed it up.
That's my top thoughts. I loved it.
I liked it. I don't know that I liked it as much as I liked the pilot, but or the premiere. I agree with Joanne, and I would only add that I really appreciated the emphasis on the accountability and choice involved in communication. It wasn't really, to me, the whole puffery between the two boys. I mean, I'm pretty much here with masculine fragility, so I disengaged. But I think what is important is the way they ultimately emphasize that in order to properly communicate, in order to properly come to a consensus or be a federation in equal parts, you have to be accountable for your choices in being there in the first place, and accountable for the things that have gone wrong, as well as the things that have gone right. I thought Betazoids using sign language was very interesting. I thought that was a new thing, might not be. I haven't read the blurbs. I thought it was pretty ballsy for the Federation to invite Betazed back under the canopy of their protection after abandoning them. That to me seemed super ballsy. And that's what I mean about the accountability of communication. Hearing how that sounded before it came out of your mouth would have been optimal. And I guess the last thing would be, I really appreciated the way that there was some obvious peacocking going on and some inability to really come to a consensus between the men. And then in the background, it was just very empowered women kind of moving the pieces around so that there could be an outcome that worked for everybody. And I think for me, the second episode, it's kind of unfortunate that it has fallen in a time in real life that nobody really wanted to anticipate things happening. And so it was almost, I will say, it was almost painful to watch it for me because it was expedited so seamlessly. Like you could just sit down and have a conversation. Everything's going to be fine. And that's not the way it is in real life. So for me, that was difficult. If I'm totally honest, that was very difficult to watch because it's so far from what we are right now.
I enjoyed the episode a lot. I mean, probably not a surprise. I think out of new Trek has often has approached the idea, the concept, the theme of communication a lot, especially in Discovery. It's a kind of a repeating theme that gets brought up quite a bit: connection and communication. And this is the first time I didn't feel like it was so preachy, because it was kind of foiled by the A and B plot with Beta Z rejoining the Federation, this negotiation that was happening, and kind of this stuff with Caleb and Tarima, I think her name was. I'm going to butcher it, but they're kind of what was going on with them, like the transparency, the accountability, the willingness to be vulnerable and open was really nice, because it did seem preachy. It felt like it was more character driven and brought by the plot, where sometimes it's just like, we need to communicate, and it just seems really melodramatic. And but the idea of like accountability and being with your intentions and honest was very, I thought, the great central point of this episode. And it felt very Star Trek-y. Like we get the first episode, which is kind of the fun, kind of space action, spacey fun stuff that we get from Star Trek, but this felt more like, it kind of in ways almost felt like a TNG episode to me. It felt like those good episodes where it's just this alien race comes to the Enterprise to negotiate something and something else happens. It's just like it felt kind of like that old formula, which was very comforting to watch. Ken?
So I like this episode. I everything about it, beta test as a play on the name of the title with the Betazoids, beta test. I thought that they did some very Star Trek things in real world as well as in the show itself, and that was they had a deaf actor play a deaf character in the president of Beta Z. I thought that was fantastic. Another thing I have to comment on is this is the first time you heard the theme of Starfleet Academy, and it was interesting that it, at least to my ears, played on Ilea's theme from Star Trek the Motion Picture at the top and the bottom of it, which was, I mean, almost very, very clearly was playing on Ilea's theme, which was an interesting choice. And there were elements in the theme that were wound in, and Jeff Russo always does a fantastic job. But you heard little bits of Star Trek history in that theme, including even hearing a soprano singing just a few notes, just like you heard from the original series theme. So the theme is very complex and very cool. But I thought it was a very and visually beautiful. The work they did visually with it before it was beautiful. But I thought the fact that they opened and closed it with notes from Ilea's theme from Star Trek the Motion Picture was an interesting choice. And what does that say? What is that hinting at? The episode I thought was very strong. Very cool to have it on Earth again. A nice mix of Easter eggs, including the Boothby Memorial Garden and the theme from The Next Generation playing there. I thought that was pretty cool again. they're not overplaying in the episode. You heard the Voyager theme with the first reference to the Doctor medical tricorder. You heard the Next Generation theme on Boothby. You, of course, heard the main Star Trek fanfare with over Holly Hunter's speeches. I thought that was pretty cool, but they're not overdoing it. At least not yet, and hopefully they don't. And then I really love the humor right at the top of the episode when Caleb says, "Don't stand next to me ever again." I thought that was, those little things were just very fun. And it was a very serious episode with some serious points about communications. And then, longtime fans are looking at George and Gracie's descendant there and really enjoying that that's George and Gracie's descendant, and very important, a very important moment. So that was my top thoughts. I did very well.
I have a feeling that when this season is over, Beta Test will be my least favorite episode. And that's not because it was awful. It wasn't. I just think that first episode of like, okay, our pilot's done. We're not ready to tell our whole season story, but we've got some stuff to do. That never really works well for me. The same can be said for DS9, TNG, Voyager. Like this episode is just always kind of weird. I thought it was really interesting that I realized we needed it to give us our Betazoid character who's going to be a regular, but it was odd to me. Yes, Benji, 100%. It was odd to me that we told another Caleb story. Like this would have been a great opportunity to really focus on a different character. That would have made the Betazoid's introduction awkward and difficult, but it would have been nice to kind of further explore some of our other cadets who maybe we aren't going to spend as much time on until later in the season, here and now, because the first 30 minutes of the pilot were Caleb's backstory. So it was just a little odd to spend so much time with him. Not that I mind spending time with Caleb or Sandro, for all the reasons.
Problematic gay alert.
And I'm sorry. We all observed very clearly and probably all pushed pause a couple times on that fence climbing scene, right? Like, I'm not the only one.
I'm not going to push the button again because that would sound like I'm admitting to it.
But you are. And you did. And I'm not alone.
Yes. And it was also a funny moment. You were literally on the fence. Such a great line.
Haha. Yeah, that's not what I was. Okay. Anyway, loved that the planet that we decided to spend so much time on with respect to getting them back into the Federation in this iteration of post-burn Star Trek was Beta Z. Really loved the deaf character, deaf actor kind of component to all of it, including the technological aid that he then discarded to use his own voice to actually say yes to the agreement. I loved all of that, and loved that particular actor. I thought he was great. The brother, I'm still on the fence. I realize he's the roommate of two of Starfleet's hottest, but I don't know. I liked his relationship with his sister, but I don't know that I liked that last scene. That was a little bumpy for me.
You know what it gave me? Like it's a bit of a stretch, but it gave me Luxana vibes.
You know what it gave me? They filmed that first vibes.
Before the character was fully fleshed out.
And then he started kind of leaning into the character, and maybe the opportunity for him to find the character was his interactions with his sister.
Mm-hmm.
And
but I agree with you. Those were lovely.
Yeah, those were beautiful. It felt like two different people when we got to him with Caleb and Durham. So we shall see. It didn't annoy me, but I don't want to use that word, but it just felt like two different people. And I was like, wait, I actually, for a split second, didn't realize it was him. So when the door opened and he was actually swinging the kettlebell and like not actually, I was like, wait, who is that? Like, am I supposed to know who this is? And then I was like, oh, it's the brother. Like, it took me a second. So
all I saw were the tribbles.
Okay, now push the button.
Yeah. There were no tribbles for the record.
Problematic gay alert.
It took us a while, but we just learned Benji's a pitman.
I'm not going to say there were no tribbles. I'm just going to say no tribbles were harmed in the filming of this episode.
Also, this might actually break our personal best for problematic gay alerts.
I hope so.
No doubt.
Because you know what?
The current record's 13. So
I will note for the record, we get shirtless Caleb in this episode. That is not the image that is in the PGA. We have not yet seen the shower scene. We love Star Trek.
And men.
And men. And men who admit they're wrong.
Star Trek, good rivalry.
There may be one between the War College and the Academy, so you're not too far off.
Between the Magatus and the Laplings, I think is the mascot. I love Holly Hunter in this episode, obviously. I think Krista, you mentioned it earlier. I was also a little worried in the run up that was like, oh, they got an Academy Award winner, kind of like Philippa Georgiou ended up being more, or well, Mira Georgiou ended up being more than I thought we were originally going to get. Because I remember I was so excited about Michelle Yeoh, and then in the credits in that very first episode, special guest star over her name. And so getting so much of Holly Hunter, she is truly the star of this show. In this episode, I love that she's a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. I love that she's like doing her own thing. She's barefoot when she wants to be. She's comfortable in her own skin. She's pushing back respectfully on the president of another world. And she's the one who helps with being so open to hearing out her cadets new ideas, like, oh, don't put that shit back in Paris. Let's truly partner with Beta Z. Such a cool thing. And then like the little Easter eggs. I have no idea who Gideon S. Turner is. If anybody does, let us know. Maybe somebody in production, maybe somebody like, or just somebody new. Because I know some people were like, "Oh, that wall, it's just member berries, it's just nostalgia bait." And like, I think the people on that wall are from a few notable people from like a 200-year stretch. Wait 30 seconds, and then notable people from the 25th and 26th century we don't know will be seen. Who gives a shit? But that Gideon Turner Hall not only gave us another fun moment with Stephen Colbert. I love his little quips as the digital dean. I think it's funny. It's a great way to seed in some humor to cut tension, but also Tarima and Caleb walking down, making up shit, like riffing about who Gideon Turner was, like just improving it, like obviously scripted, but improving in character. It gave me Trish vibes from Barb and Star. If you know, you know. And it was so fucking funny. And like, and when they come back to it at the end, it's like, for God's sake, do it for Turner. Like it's so funny. It was so funny, and it worked. It got her back. It's so good. I don't have a segue here. Who else has thoughts on this episode before we wrap up the salon? Matt?
I really just want to, everything is breaking up on my end, so I'm sorry if but the way that she is just standing there with her counterpart from the War College, Dadmiral, and she's just like, sometimes you just got to let the piggies out to pasture. And it's like, you would. And then she just jumps up on the cafeteria table. Like, I love that woman. Yeah. I love her so deeply. And she has become my new favorite captain.
And great quips. Like if you want to talk about the good old days, I have more than you. Ooh.
Yes.
Bitch. Yes.
I also like that they take every opportunity to expose her guns.
Yes.
There, because she's of an age where normally we're all covered up. So the fact that she has well-toned arms and they're really capitalizing on that is very interesting. And as for Caleb, I mean, I know y'all are salivating and everything, but for me, I disengaged from this episode quite a bit. I'm now realizing, but I will say this: I prefer my eye candy surrounded by a wrapper of silence. Just stand there, Caleb. Just stand there. Word. Just stand there. That's it.
You thirsty bitch.
In the arms of the angel.
That's it. Sorry.
Will, Joanne, there's some chatter in the chat if you want to bring to the voice. Want to make some space for it. You don't have to.
I'm going to call out how happy I am that Beta Z is the new capital of the Federation.
Yeah.
Like, Earth made sense in the 23rd century and maybe even the 24th, but in the 32nd, Beta Z makes sense. Like
something close to the wormhole, something like, yeah.
It's sort of in between. Yeah.
Also, I really hope we see in episode 5. I want to see DS9. I don't want it altered. I want that they just maintained it. Just give me that one little
little bicycle wheel. Hello,
Krista.
Can we give? I didn't know if anybody else was talking. Can we give Paul Giamatti props for being the first Paul Giamatti in a Paul Giamatti fight scene in the first episode? Can we please get? I was like, watch him moving around. Now, maybe it probably wasn't him. I don't know. Let me dream. I'm just saying.
He said on Colbert. He said
to see. I expected.
He said on Colbert that he did it. It was all him, and then he regretted it. He didn't use his stunt double.
Mm.
I mean, I was like, yeah, he threw down.
Cool.
He went all in, and I think
The music in that moment was really good too.
well, and it didn't diminish it. It didn't make it a caricature. It didn't make it, like a silly villain. It was rather believable. The parts that I remember of it. So anyway, nobody mentioned really the Giamatti of it all. So I wanted to throw that.
No, he was fantastic.
Also, the actress that plays Sam is really beautiful. Just a beautiful, beautiful girl. That's it.
And soul. She just seems like such a lovely human being.
I'm actually very, very, very much looking forward to this series, which I can't say for many Star Trek series in the past few years, that I'm really looking forward to seeing where they're going and what they're doing. Not because it's called Star Trek, just because it's good.
Amen. And what a lovely place to land the ship.
There were 11 problematic gay alerts. So we did not break the record, but we came very close.
Everybody quick, be gay.
I want to suck Caleb's dick.
Problematic gay alert.
I'm going to suck Darren's dick.
Yay!
Which one?
Okay, pull back. Pull it back.
Too aggressive.
Pull out. Pull out.
Both of the
Too much.
dicks.
Problematic gay alert.
He likes the goo.
Giamatti's dick.
He likes the goo. Don't wash the goo off. He enjoys the
I
goo.
prefer
He
it.
doesn't want anybody breaking him up with the goo.
There's too many
You
buttons.
thirsty bitch. Problematic gay alert.
With the goo.
There were 15 problematic gay alerts.
Punctuated with the goo.
There were 15 problematic gay alerts. There were 2 ally alerts. There was one, I don't know what the fuck to do with this goo alert. There were 2 tosser alerts. and there was one Holly Hunter impression. I gave 5,000 bonus points to Will for having already gone through the change. I gave 500 bonus points to Joanne for turning Tilly into James. I gave 250 bonus points to Krista for putting Caleb in a corner. I gave $20.99 worth of points to Matt so he can subscribe. I gave 400 bonus points to Benji for performing a tubectomy on the Eiffel Tower. I gave 1,701 bonus points to Ken for acknowledging how hard it is. I gave 6,900 bonus points to Norman in the comments for calling out the threesome, or at least what should be the threesome, of Darum, Caleb, and Cadet Sadal. I gave 5 million bonus points to Holly Hunter for embodying everything that would actually be Captain Krista. I gave 2 bonus points to Stan for being a hoe. And last but not least, I gave 8 trillion bonus points to Sandro, George, Bella, Karim, Zoe, and Carice for bringing us new and delightful Star Trek. Welcome to the family, you beautiful kids.
Yes, welcome. You all are killing it. Thank you for giving us new Star Trek. And thank you all for joining us. This has been a wonderful evening with the Salon. We will be back next week talking about episode 3 of Starfleet Academy. So get excited. In the meantime, like and subscribe. Watch the show. Watch the premiere on YouTube. Watch it and the second episode on Paramount Plus. Watch the Trek that we get so that we get more Star Trek. And follow us. We are at Salon Trek everywhere. Until next week, live long and prosper.
All hands abandon ship. Proceed to the nearest evacuation zone immediately.